Hello everyone, FBO Willem here. Round of 16 Taiwan has been played and it's time to focus on Tai 2 and the quarterfinals and probably even beyond. So in this video I will give some advice, but we will start off with the current bracket. Then after that we will talk about the possible fixtures. So in the quarterfinals it's quite predictable we will be in the quarterfinals, but we will talk about the possible fixtures there. Then the targets, who you want to focus on. There are a few teams who have a bit of a better fixtures. Maybe they play at home in the quarterfinals, the first leg, so you want to focus on those teams, but we will talk about it in this video. Then after that we will talk a bit about if you have a wildcard left and if you don't have a wildcard left. If you have a wildcard left it's quite easy, but there are some predicaments if you don't have a wildcard left. I will give some team advice if you don't have a wildcard left. So for now, let's start off with the bracket. So I don't want to put all too much time into the bracket because it is quite predictable, or at least I think it's quite predictable. There are going to be a few upsets, I think, as Paris Saint-Germain could win it against Liverpool, and Borussia Dortmund, Lille and Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid are a bit unpredictable there. But all the other teams will probably go through. These are the teams I think will go through, or at least for certain will go through. There are two teams missing, but I will talk about it in a bit. So Liverpool playing at home against Aston Villa in the first round in the quarterfinals, so it's probably a fixture you want to focus on. Then Arsenal will of course go through with a 7-1 lead. No idea who will they play against, because Atletico Madrid can take it away at home. They're only 2-1 behind, but I think Real Madrid always wins over 2 ties from Atletico Madrid in the Champions League, so I will think Real Madrid will go through. Then right on top it's Barcelona who will go through, and Borussia Dortmund or Lille. It doesn't really matter who will go through. Maybe for your team it does, but for the fixture for Barcelona it doesn't really matter. I think they're equally good. Then below it it's Bayern Munich versus Inter, because the matches are already played. Now if I have to take a guess, I will think Lille and Real Madrid will go through, basically because Real Madrid is Real Madrid. Guess that's a good reason. And Lille because they have the home advantage. Could go Borussia Dortmund, it's literally a toss-up, but I think Lille will go through basically on the home advantage. So this is basically what I think, so you can already see a bit what you want to focus on for the fixtures in the quarterfinals. If I have put a team on the left side, as I mean, and one on the right side, this means that Liverpool will play at home against Aston Villa and Barcelona will play at home against Lille. So you already know who to fixture on a home game. If it was the other way around, imagine it was Arsenal or it was Real Madrid Arsenal, you could focus on Real Madrid players a bit more. But now it's Arsenal and Real Madrid, and maybe you want to focus on the defenders from Arsenal. But yeah, we will talk about it in the next slide, in the target slide, so see you there. So as promised, we'll move on to the targets. Now the targets aren't really that unpredictable because it's quite easy to see if you've seen the bracket, this slide before. It's Barcelona, Liverpool and Inter. Barca play against Benfica at home. They won 1-0 away with 10 men, so probably should win against Benfica at home with 11. Then after they play at home against Lille or Dortmund, depends who goes through. Even that is a great game, so I think that's a great team to focus your transfers on. Liverpool up next. If they win against Paris Saint-Germain, they have an easier game against Aston Villa after it. Doesn't mean it's an easy game, there aren't really easy games anymore at this stage. But they got dominated against Paris Saint-Germain away, but they still won 1-0. Now at home against in Anfield, they probably won't happen there, and you could get some players from them there. And the last one is Inter. I think their defense is just impeccable. So if you want to focus on Inter, get some defenders in there. They play at home against Feyenoord. Now Feyenoord is just an injured squad. They aren't even that great of a squad if they have all their 11 players or starting players. But now with the injuries, they're probably getting a clean sheet there. After that, it's away against Bayern Munich. Now that's a more difficult game, but I still think there's quite a possibility that Inter will keep a clean sheet. That's just how good they are in defense. It's a really Italian masterclass. That's what they're famous for. And after Bayern Munich, of course, they play at home against Bayern Munich. So it's not that bad. It's not that bad. So these are the 3 teams: Barcelona, Liverpool, and Inter. I should focus. I would myself focus on if I need to make some transfers, and I will. Of course, I will use all my 3 transfers. For now, let's just move on to the wildcard versus non-wildcard possibilities, because I think there are some questions there, and people want to know what to do if you don't have a wildcard, because it is surviving for sometimes if you don't have a wildcard. So let's move on. So as I said, I will talk about the possibilities for wildcard and non-wildcard. Some of you guys still have a wildcard, some of you guys don't have a wildcard. The biggest difference is that if you're drowning, if your team is just going to the shitter, you have a wildcard to get out of jail. If you're drowning, you can get out of jail, you can go up top and get some air. And if you're drowning and you don't have a wildcard, well, good luck drowning there. This is basically the reason I keep my wildcard. That if Dortmund gets out, Leverkusen gets out, you have no idea. Maybe even Barcelona loses that 1-0 game, or they're only 1-0 in front. I have Mbappé, they could lose. There's so many situations that can go wrong for me. And if I have a wildcard, then I can just reset there. So that's basically the reason why I always keep it for in the knockout phases. But that doesn't mean I will use it immediately. I will try to use it just around before the semi-finals, but I will talk about that in a later video. It's not really a reason to talk about it right now. But it doesn't mean I don't have any issues in my team. I have a few one. I think I have one, just I need to get him out, and that's Emre Can. He isn't really doing anything. He's going to play against Lille away, and even if he gets through, he will play against Barcelona, probably Barcelona, away in the first tie. He isn't on penalties anymore. He's slow as you can. Well, he's just slow, and there is a possibility Sule, or he's probably going to be replaced, or there's a possibility he's going to be replaced with defenders coming back for Dortmund. And I have some yellowish issue. It means that it's not that big of an issue, but it could be an issue. And that's Gabriel, Raya and Martinez. Now the goalkeeper Martinez from Inter is basically because he could be replaced by Sommer. And Raya and Gabriel is basically the problem that they want 7-1. They want too much from PSV. That means there could be some heavy rotation. There could be Neto in goal. I think he still plays for Dortmund. And Gabriel could be played like Kiwior. But there's also a chance Saliba gets arrested and Gabriel plays. So that's some things I have to think about. But it's a problem for right now. And that's the thing with my wildcard. I don't have to think all too far ahead. I will, because I like that. But I don't have to think all too far ahead, because if things go wrong, I can use my wildcard. So that's basically my problem. As you can see, I have Grimaldo and Wirtz. They are 3-0 behind. They will not win or not go through probably to the next round. So but I don't really care about those things. Grimaldo is still a great option if you have a wildcard. So is Florian Wirtz. So that's basically the reason I don't use my wildcard in the league stages. So let's move on to a fellow YouTuber who doesn't have his wildcard anymore. So as I said, I asked a fellow YouTuber's permission to use his squad. Now I don't really think I had to ask permission, but I just wanted to give a quick shout out to FPL MV. He's doing great in FPL content and in UCL content, so watch him. I think he's reaching 3K, a number that I would love to have, but he's doing amazing, so watch him. But for now I will use his squad, and he doesn't have a wildcard left anymore. And if you look closely, it doesn't really differ from my team, but the big difference is that he has to, there are multiple scenarios that could happen, and for me it's just I focus on one scenario I think will happen, and if that doesn't work out, I use a wildcard. I'm done, my team is back in the best state you can imagine. But for him, there's a possibility that Dortmund could go out, so that means Guirassy and Bensebaini are already issues. Probably Grimaldo and Wirtz are already out of the Champions League. There's a chance that, probably one Paris Saint-Germain player will go out in Dembele, so those are immediately 5 issues there. And there are some more issues, to talk about. So that's basically why I hold my wildcards, that if there's a scenario there are some upsets there, then at least I can get out of jail with my wildcard. So I just wanted to quickly talk now about his issues in his team. Now, as I said, I want to talk about the issues or the problems or whatever. I'm maybe a bit exaggerating with issues or problems, but I want to talk about some things he could face later in the stages, and I want to give you, or to show you guys, visualize it to you, what his problems could be. So I've marked them with an orange box around it with, probably he have to put transfers in. As Grimaldo and Wirtz will probably go out. I have Grimaldo, I have Wirtz, but I have a wildcard. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And the fixture at home against Bayern München isn't that bad. But they will probably not turn it around with 3-0. But there is a possibility they keep a clean sheet or they score a goal. But then still, he has to transfer him out because, they're probably out. Same goes for Alvarez. He's 2-1 behind at the moment against Real Madrid. There's a possibility he will go through, but then he has Mbappé as a problem because Mbappé has to go out. But Alvarez could score away at home against Real Madrid, but there's also a possibility he will go out. Guirassy and Bensebaini 1-1 against Lille, and they play away. Yeah, there is a 50-50 chance they will go out. Doesn't mean they will go out, so maybe he could keep him. But if he keeps him and they will go out, then he has a problem for later. So there's just a lot of situations he has to think about. Think about Dembele here. Probably out. If he doesn't go out, then Salah is out. That's his issue once again. And he has limited transfers instead of a wildcard. And even there are some some minor problems, like the goalkeeper Zraya won 7-1. So there's a chance he won't play and they put in a backup keeper. Same goes for Sommer. Sommer is still injured at this moment in time. It's Saturday. He will play, I think, 3:30. Well, in the Netherlands time. But if he doesn't play, he's a doubt once again, and maybe he won't play once again. And then he doesn't have any goalkeeper, so maybe he has to put in a transfer there. Then Gabriel, I've talked about it before, could get rested 7-1 against PSV. Morgan Rogers isn't that big of an issue, but I've just put a yellow border around him because they will probably go through. But then they play against Liverpool away in the next round, so maybe a bit of an issue, but not really. I don't think he has to change him. Then Mbappé could be an issue. If Alvarez goes through, then Mbappé doesn't. So it's just, even if there are great fixtures for, as I said with Grimaldo and Wirtz, they could be great fixtures. Bayern at home, you could win them, but if you're 3-0 down, you probably will go out. Even if you win 2-0, you're still out. So you have to put in the transfers then as well. So yeah, that's the issue he's facing. But you could get out of it with good planning. So I will show in the next slide how I would do it in his situation. Doesn't mean he has to do it. I just wanted to show you what I would do in that situation. So this is the big difference between a wildcard and a non-wildcard. There's just a lot of issues or problems you could face if you don't have a wildcard in the latter stages of the Champions League. So as I said, I wanted to fill my feet into MV's shoes. So if I had his team, what I would do with his team. This doesn't mean MV, I don't know if you watch this video, doesn't mean you should do this. I would do this with this team if I didn't have a wildcard. So the following 3 transfers I would use is Alvarez to Lewandowski, Grimaldo to Trent, and Dembele to Yamal. And I love Alvarez, Grimaldo and Dembele, but the difference is if you have a wildcard you can use them, and I think they will do well in the game, but they will probably go out for the next round, so you have to prepare for the next round already. Now I think Lewandowski, Trent and Yamal are also great picks. Lewandowski and Yamal, they play against Benfica, and after it it's Lille and Dortmund away. And Trent plays against Paris Saint-Germain at home, not the easiest fixture of course, but after it it's Aston Villa at home. So that's basically, you have to prepare for the next rounds. Now, as I said, I don't really like these transfers, as I think for this round, Grimaldo, Alvarez and Dembele are great, or decent at least. But for the next rounds, they're probably out, and that's the big difference there. And even then, if we've done these 3 transfers, there could be some problems in the next round. Now, imagine Alvarez goes through. There's a chance Alvarez goes through. That means Mbappé is out. So yeah, then you have to remove Mbappé there. If Dortmund goes through, they could go out as well, of course. But if they go through, Bensebaini and Guirassy are problems, especially Bensebaini, because they play against Barcelona at home. Don't really think you want players against Barcelona at home, but yeah, you're forced in that situation. Guirassy isn't that bad if they play against Barcelona at home. He could score. Barca aren't as strong in defense as they are in the attacking department, but there's also a chance Dortmund goes out. Then you have to remove them. Then the Rodgers, I've circled the Rodgers basically because they play at home against Liverpool, or away against Liverpool, but that's not even the biggest issue. And Wirtz, you still have Wirtz in your team. I forgot about him for a sec, but you still have Wirtz in your team. He's probably out, so you have to remove him. You are forced to remove him. So I just wanted to show you what really is the difference by holding your wildcard for a later stage. That it's just a bit, you don't have to prepare as much as you do in the league phase, and you can just go by a scenario you think will happen, and if it doesn't happen, you wildcard. And if you don't have a wildcard, you will end up in this situation where you have to prepare for certain scenarios or more scenarios, and there's even a chance that when you take out Alvarez, that he goes through. And then you're stuck with Mbappé and you don't have Alvarez. So, yeah, it's just thinking a lot ahead if you don't have a wildcard. But this is my advice if you're stuck in that scenario. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We've gone through the brackets and the possible fixtures in the quarterfinals. Then we went to the targets. I think it was quite easy to pick the targets, as they are Barcelona and Liverpool, maybe even Inter. And then the thing I love most was the wildcard versus the non-wildcard possibilities. I think it's always a bit stale at this point in the Champions League fantasy game, as a lot of teams look like each other. But there's a big difference you can make if you have a wildcard against if you don't have a wildcard at this stage. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As I said, I will be back one more time for my team review, my possible team review. Won't be, of course, my ending team. You have to follow me on Twitter to see my final team, probably an hour before the deadline. Yeah, as I said, once again, hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys in the next one. Bye bye.